Good evening. This is Henry Hushke here with day 8 of the COVID cast. So today we're going to be talking about the unfortunate trends in the virus and some of the news that I didn't cover yesterday because yesterday was Feel Good Friday. Okay. And also discussing some of the future plans for the cast. Okay, so if we go to my favorite Johns Hopkins COVID tracker here, I am recording this earlier in the day, so by the time I post and by the time I'm editing, the data may have changed. But as it stands now, there are 303,180 total confirmed cases across the globe. The number is likely much higher than that, obviously, due to testing constraints across the globe. If we look even just so far today, we continue to see, again, exponential growth here in the charts. If we go again to our logarithmic cases, again, I'll just remind any new viewers that a straight line means something is growing exponentially. And the orange line here is China's cases or reported cases. The green line is the total recovered, and the yellow line is the total cases outside of China, other than China. So we've really been watching this yellow line now, really since February, when China seems to have gotten this under control, as far as we can tell. So if you see in the last few days since I've started the cast, the first day was the 14th, and we were sitting at the worldwide total of 75,000. And today so far, right now, we're at 221.9 thousand. So basically 222,000 cases in other locations. So very worrying. This line continues to remain straight. I think there's, between any mitigations occurred so far, there's kind of two separate pressures. One is there's increased testing, which is increasing the numbers, and there's increased mitigation, which is, and those are kind of canceling out to leave it at this kind of same rate of exponential growth, I believe, right now. So yes, getting to where I am, the U.S. First of all, my state, Michigan, today. Right now, as you know, if you've been listening, my dad is a ER doctor, and there's the right now he will be at work by the time this is up. The county that he's working in reported its first case of COVID today. Michigan is up to 787 total cases with 5 deaths, so super worrying there. And Michigan's testing capacity is about 1,000 tests a day right now, so still not very good. If you kept that up for 100 days, you would get to 1% of the population. So not incredibly comprehensive. So Michigan's numbers are likely to continue to grow, and probably faster than the rate that we can test. So worrying stuff there. As I'm sure you know at this point, PPE is incredibly limited at these hospitals. It's going to continue to be a huge problem. And I'm definitely worried about my dad, and I hope that he's hanging in there well. I know he'll be listening probably tomorrow morning. So I hope you're doing well, Dad. Anyways, the state of New York is doing the best job right now, I think, of any state so far. They've done the most testing. I believe they've done around 45,000 tests. But with those tests, they have figured out that they have an incredibly big problem. 11,000 cases last time I checked of coronavirus in the state of New York. So, yep. The fact that they're testing so aggressively right now, or aggressively compared to the rest of the U.S., is good news for later on. But things are definitely going to be rough in New York, and I hope they can do well. Governor Cuomo just announced some things today in terms of masks and ventilators, which will be good. I believe they're getting 6,000 ventilators, which should help them out quite a bit. So I hope New York's doing well. We don't have the numbers from the West Coast yet as of this time, but we'll see how Washington and California are doing, especially California kind of going into this shelter in place mode. So, yes. Also in Michigan, some good news, something I really like to see is General Motors is saying that they're starting to build ventilators, which is very good. Definitely something right now in the U.S. is literally I believe that every state, no matter what the size of their outbreak is now, whether it's in the tens, the hundreds, or the thousands, or the tens of thousands, every single state should be building additional beds, should be constructing these facilities right now. Because the way this virus works is it overwhelms quickly and suddenly. So I personally feel like they've started to do this in Washington. Every state should be building facilities, should be planning on that because hospital capacities likely in early April will be overwhelmed. And in New York State, they're already seeing probably even before the end of March, they'll be overwhelmed in terms of space. So I think that's something we really need to get to. In terms of just the U.S. response, 2 weeks ago, we were basically, imagine we're fighting I don't know, how about the U.S. military? Imagine the U.S., imagine the coronavirus is the U.S. military, and the U.S. 2 weeks ago was a band of 100 cavemen with spears. Well, in the 2 weeks since then, we've upgraded. Now we're the equivalent of an 18th century army comprised of cavalry and muskets. So we're advancing, we're getting better, but it's definitely still not enough. I believe on that front, the U.S. has done about 100, somewhere between 150,000 and 200,000 tests. I think approaching 200,000 tests. And if you think about it, I really think at least 1% of the population needs to get tested soon. And, that's over 3 million people. So I don't know. That's just my personal opinion is that testing is going to be key to making a dent in this because the more we test, frankly, the more we'll actually be able to target the kind of restrictions we have. So that's the U.S. And also just, I talked about GM and the ventilators. We should be making as many, any business that can should be making as many masks and ventilators as possible. The worst case scenario is that the U.S. ends up with too many of these items, in which case we can help other countries because the entire world's going to need this help. I can't imagine with just what a struggle this is going to be in the United States. I cannot imagine the incredible amount of pain and suffering that it's going to come to the developing world with this. And now we pretty much see it in almost every single country in the world except for North Korea miraculously. And, there's no way that's true. So, yeah, the entire world's going to be dealing with this even once we've gotten it under control, most likely. Europe. Nothing good coming out of Europe right now. Italy today reporting 6,557 new cases and 793 new deaths. Right now, their reported death to case ratio is 9%, which is unbelievable. I mean, it basically means that a lot of the country is infected. I mean, a very high proportion of the country is infected. Like an integer percent is infected in Italy, almost certainly. So, yeah. Really, it's a struggle to see what's happening in Italy. And it's very nerve-wracking because Italy has been on national lockdown for, I think they started on March 6th, and it's March 21st. So, they've been on national lockdown now. Or maybe that was just the North, but they've been on national lockdown approaching 2 weeks. So we really want to see these numbers begin to go down soon. So we're going to keep track of Italy because it's really going to inform, basically what they're doing in Italy is what we're doing in New York and California and Illinois right now. So we really want to see that not only mitigates the spread, but hopefully can even get that R naught beneath 1, that for every person that's infected, they only infect it to zero point 0.8 people, so that we actually start to see the number of cases go down. So yeah, my heart's out to Italy. I really hope they can persevere. Same with, man, all these countries in Europe, really, really just in the pain zone. I mean, Spain is going to be in a similar case. I think their hospital systems are pretty much at capacity right now, and they're going to pass capacity. So Spain is going to be dealing with some insane issues, and they went on lockdown so much later. And same with France. So super, super troubling. And same with Britain. Today, Britain reported 1,035 new cases. So breaking into that 4 figures per day. Bad news out of the UK. But at least in Europe, and especially like in Germany, they in Scandinavia, they are doing more testing per capita compared to the US. So they may actually be through this sooner, and they may. The US picture, we should not just look at Europe as if they're suffering while we're not, because we're all suffering right now. We are all suffering. So now that I brought the depressing trends in, let's talk about some of the depressing news stories. So one thing, President Trump has kind of been touting a new drug, I believe. Let me look here so I get the name correct. Basically, he's been touting the effectiveness of hydroxychloroquine, which is kind of, I don't want to say ridiculous, but it's somewhat ridiculous because basically, as Dr. Fauci has even said in their briefings, literally as President Trump stands there and says this, basically this is just one potential, basically this is like on the brainstorm list of potential drugs right now, and they actually have to figure out what exactly the side effects are of it and whether it actually works. Basically, right now, what we have to go on are some very preliminary results and some basic anecdotal stories. So again, don't be taking this right now. Don't be doing any of this right now because we don't actually know what's going to happen. This is just one potential for change. Hopefully it does work and, we actually have something to mitigate the impact of the virus. But yeah. Don't get complacent because of this. It's nothing guaranteed. Nothing even close to guaranteed. Okay, so I put a link in the description yesterday with the president's exchange with Peter Alexander, where basically Peter Alexander asked President Trump. He basically he said the facts of where we were at then. It's even worse now, and he said, millions of Americans are scared. What's your message? And the president just went off, just blew a total gasket, and frankly, not only was it not calming, it was it was extremely worrying. So, and especially at a time when NBC just lost one of their members, one of their camera people died. So very, very, very bad. And maybe the most depressing story, insider trading in the Senate. I'm sure you've seen the stories. The two big time culprits are Richard Burr from North Carolina, and Kelly Loeffler from Georgia. So just kind of a disgusting story, and it really does seem like it's true to me so far from what I've seen. And I have one simple question. We live in a very big country, over 300 million people. And there are 535 Congress people, right? I'm not including DC, sorry. Anyways, um, how in the world, in a country this big, can we not ensure that one of those people is married to the chairman of the New York Stock Exchange? I mean, in my mind, that is so dumb on so many levels. Having a member of Congress be married to the chairman of the New York Stock Exchange. And I don't know, the fact that we hadn't heard about that is insane to me. So I really hope that maybe this will we'll be able to crack down on some corruption through this, because that just seems so morally bankrupt to have that be true. There have been stories about Dianne Feinstein and Inhofe with this too. From what I've seen, their evidence isn't as damning, but definitely if they're accused of this too, or not if they're accused, sorry, if the evidence is there, all of these people need to go to prison. I mean, this is unacceptable. This is unacceptable on so many levels. The fact that a lot of these same people were the same people that were saying that this situation was under control while they were dumping their stock due to their information. I mean, that is so unbelievably bankrupt, morally bankrupt. It's incredible, absolutely incredible. And the United States is about to go through a ton, and we can't forget this. We cannot forget this in what's going to happen. I swear, these people, they're going to try to slip through the cracks and just pretend this never happened. We can't let that happen. We cannot let that happen. Okay, so now that I've gone off on that tangent for a little while, tomorrow I would like to change up the format of the cast. So far through these first 8 days, it's just been me sitting here talking to the mic. So tomorrow is going to be my Sunday survey as I go out and have a bunch of guests, talk with a bunch of guests, ask them a few questions. I'm planning on talking with my dad, obviously ER doctor, who we'll see has not officially seen any cases yet, but may have seen cases, has sent tests off, and we'll see obviously tonight. Hopefully everything's okay. I'm going to be talking with my sister's wife's parents, who are Spanish, and French. So they're in Spain right now, and obviously a country getting hit extremely hard. So I'm going to talk with them about kind of what they're doing during this time. I'm also planning on talking with my sister and her wife in New York City and getting their thoughts, getting their experience now that New York is on pause, obviously. New York's on lockdown-ish, lockdown being only essential businesses open. And I'd also like to talk to anyone else here in Traverse City, maybe to get another perspective on what it's like being here, where we're just kind of in this calm before the storm stage, where we don't know, we're not really sure of anything up here, and, we'll see. So, now that I've been negative on this sort of sad Saturday, I'm going to end today. I took a very pleasant walk with my dogs out in the woods today, and I was just looking at East Bay, Grand Traverse Bay, East Bay, and I just decided to pause and take a little bit of footage because it's super easy to get incredibly stressed right now, and I think that, sometimes we just got to look around at the scenery and just know that this is all going to be here. this is not a forever situation. We'll still be here. This will still be here. Soak it in. So I'm about to include that footage here. And I just really hope that you're staying healthy, continuing social distancing, hanging in there, and have a super Saturday.